All right, we are live. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good this New Year's Day. Happy New Year's to you. Before we go any further, I've actually remembered for once to save the links. So there you go. If you want to buy t-shirts, that is the link for the t-shirt store. Let's see here. And that is the link to Slap Shoes video about short tracks. So there you go. I remembered all the links from last time. I hope everybody's doing good. I wanted to start off actually talking about Slap Shoes video because it's a really good video and he brings up a really good point that a lot of our local short tracks are sort of in danger here to booming real estate markets. They seem to be going the way of, if there's a booming real estate market, they're basically going to try to find a way to move your short track out of the way because they find that a nuisance because, you know, the old, I moved right beside of a racetrack and now I'm going to complain about the noise. So basically that's what that video is about. And I think it brings a very good point. And if we don't sort of band together and sort of get something figured out here, there's a good chance that we will lose a few of these short tracks in the coming years. So that's kind of what's on my mind today. Not really a whole lot going on NASCAR news wise. So we will just throw it to the comments and see whatever you guys want to talk about. But yeah, Happy New Year's to you. Let's get to the comments. All right, let's see here. NASCAR guy, what's up, man? JD Mayo says some new William Byron diecast on the way in the mail. I got one on the way in the mail too. It's that Raptor win. So I got a couple of the small 164s from the trip to Martinsville I went to, the first one, and William Byron swept it. So that was the first time I'd been at a race weekend where somebody actually swept the weekend. So I got the William Byron number 7 truck, and I got the little small version of the Raptor. Even though it's an ugly paint scheme, in my opinion. So some people love it. Some people really like it. I'm not one of them. But I got both of those 164s. So I do have those. I do have the Raptor one coming on the way. They haven't sent the truck one yet, but that's pretty cool. So yeah, the new William Byron stuff is sort of on the way. We should be getting some 2023 paint schemes here being released not before too long. Philip Canavan says, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, Philip. Rusty Beechwood says, good morning. It is a good morning, Rusty. What's up? Hope everybody's doing good. Speedway Anywhere, checking in. What's up, Speedway? Good to have you on. Howdy from the Great White North, says Robin Marks, thumbs up. So the chat's working, so that's a good thing. Ted Dover says, Happy New Year's. Robin Marks says, glad to see Kurt will run some races. Yeah, so I'm actually pretty pumped up about that. As long as he can clear the protocols and more or less, we sort of assume he will clear the protocols, and I'm pretty sure the sponsors are going to sign on and be okay with it. And as long as he's healthy, as long as he is good, you know, that's the main thing. But if he clears the protocols and if he wants to do it, it is really cool that 2311 has extended that olive branch, or not olive branch, but they've extended that ride for a few races at the very least to say, hey, if you want to come in here and drive this car and sort of go out the way you want to go out, absolutely feel free to do it. And I think that's really cool on 2311's part. I'm really happy they're doing that for him, and hopefully he can get healthy. If he comes back or not, hopefully he can get healthy. But hopefully he can get healthy and run a few races and sort of go out the way he wants to go out. Bent Christopher, Bent Christopher Johansson says, Happy New Year's, all race fans. Enjoyed your content so far, and wouldn't be hurt if you drop an 8-minute video now and then to help yourself a little. With the extra ad money revenue, LOL. Yeah, so I sort of stopped chasing maybe 4 or 5 months ago because you can sort of chase that algorithm and you can get more views and stuff like that. You can definitely earn more money. So basically, the longer the video is, the better chance you have of maximizing your profit. And I will do some longer videos, but I wanted to just sort of keep it like if it's only going to be a 3-minute video, let it be a 3-minute video. So basically, whatever I'm covering, it's just going to be as long as it is. I'm no longer trying to make them less than 5 minutes, and I'm no longer trying to worry about it one way or the other. Just whatever information I have, that's how long the video will be. That being said, I do have some vlogs planned that will be well over the 8-minute mark. So there will be some content that is going to be like well over 5 and 8 minutes, but for the most part, I just sort of like hit the highlights. I'm the USA Today of doing the news, because I try to get in and out with the news as far as that goes. But as far as opinion things go, sometimes I'll drop opinion things that are a little bit longer. Sometimes I'll drop vlogs that are a little bit longer. And obviously, we got the live stream that is way longer. I might start taking some clips from the live streams and start doing them as clips too. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I'm thinking about doing a lot of things differently, not massively differently, but just trying to add a few little extra things this year. So we'll have to see how it plays out. William Tyre says Daytona is next month. Yep, it is. It is around the corner. So we're getting closer and closer every day. Thank goodness. JD Mayo says, is Aric Almirola still retiring? No, I think he re-upped for 2 years. JD, Smithfield decided they would come back for 2 more years. And I don't think anybody was expecting that. And when Smithfield said that they would come back for 2 more years, Aric Almirola said, well, I'll run for 2 more years as long as Smithfield decides they want to come back as well. So looks like we got Aric Almirola for next year and the year after. And after that, who knows? Rusty Beechwood says, I'd be hurt with ads. Get money if you can. Love your format, however you do it, says Rusty Beechwood. Yeah, I'll try. I have no control over the YouTube ads. So if they put a bunch of them in one of my videos, not like a whole lot I can do about that. I mean, I can tell them to put the ad in the middle, or I can tell them to put the ad at the front or back. But even when I do that, I've watched it myself sometimes trying to get better, just analyzing my videos themselves. They still put them wherever they want to put them. So you feel like you've got control over it over on your end, but it doesn't always work out that way. So I've got no control over the YouTube ads, but it is what it is. And don't worry about watching them or anything like that. It's not the end of the world if you don't watch them. I'm not going to be like, watch all the ads. I need so much money. I'm not ever going to be like that. If you want to skip them, skip them. I skip them all the time. Don McClee says, who's going to be the new up-and-comer in the truck and Xfinity that we haven't heard of yet? That is a good question. That is a very good question. I don't know about maybe I've heard of him. I think if Lane Riggs can get sort of a full truck series ride, and he seems to be working towards that with Stuart Friesen's team. Friesen, I can't call it. Anyway, Stuart Friesen's team. It jumped out of my head because I was trying to think about it. I think he'll be a good one to look at. I think he's definitely got the talent and definitely has the ability. He would be the first one. One of the first ones that jumps to mind. Anybody in a Toyota is going to be really good. I'll tell you who I really want to take a look at, though. Kyle Busch Motorsports, KBM usually has the best trucks. So I want to see what Jack Wood and is it Purdy? Anyway, I want to see what they can do over there, because they have not had great truck careers so far, but we know those KBM trucks are really fast. So I want to see what they can do over there at KBM. That'll be what I'm looking at for over there. And if Lane Riggs can have if he first off can get a full season, and if he does get a full season, I think you'll see something over there. And of course, the other thing I'll be looking at in truck, can Hailie Deegan finally get the finishes this year? I think part of the thing with Hailie Deegan is she gets too much attention for being a girl. She brings some of that attention to herself, quite a bit of it to herself. But basically anything she does is going to be super scrutinized. But at the end of the day, she's had 2 full truck series seasons, and she hasn't been bad. She hasn't been good. So this pressure for her to do good, she's still a really young driver. So I don't know. So I'll be keeping an eye on her. Hopefully she gets the finishes she should be getting, because she's definitely in the best equipment she can be in right now, no doubt about it. JD Mayo says that's why live videos are better, no ads. Why I hate YouTube now, all about the patrons. Yep. I don't know. I wish there was like probably a better way, and there probably is one, but I don't know. It is what it is. Like I could turn them off, but like if I turned them off, then they wouldn't circulate my videos. Like you see what I'm saying? Like if I'm not uh, if I'm not making YouTube money, they're not going to try to promote me either. So like it's a fine line. Excuse me. Anyway, people complain about noises after they move to racetracks. Yep, airports and Air Force bases. People just complain about everything they don't like after they move next to what they don't like. Yeah, so that's a great point, right? So like people complain about something that already existed, and people just like to complain. Period. So let's look at the first one. Like they move to where a racetrack is at. They know a racetrack is there or an airport. That's another good point. Like you said, you move right beside an airport or a racetrack. You knew the airport or racetrack was there before you moved, or if you didn't, you didn't do your due diligence. That's on you either way. And then you try to complain about there being a racetrack or an airport or whatever right where you moved. Well, I mean, you should have done your due diligence. If that was going to be an issue to you, you should have thought about that before you moved into that particular house or apartment or wherever you're moving into. Tent on front of your HOA lawn, like Slap Shoes is doing. But yeah, that's a massive fail on those people's parts for not doing their homework and figuring out that, hey, there's a racetrack beside where I'm trying to live. And in a lot of cases, it's a racetrack that only has a race like once or twice a year, right? So these bigger racetracks that people complain about, it's only once or twice a year that they're going to have a race that's big enough to really affect your traffic, and that's going to be like super loud. And none of these racetracks really go like super late into the night. It's not like they're racing to 11 or 12 p.m. unless that there is a I don't know, rain or weather situation. So what are they really complaining about? They're complaining about like once or twice a year they might be inconvenienced. So just shut up. Like they should just shut up about it. Be honest. And the other point is people just like to complain. Absolutely, man. 100% agree with you like on that. Like people love to just complain about stuff. There's no doubt about it. Robin Mark says, stick your lost footage clips on the end of your videos to make them longer. Also post some added footage of your cars or tracks or the Fiat when it happens. Yeah, I might. That's actually something I've started thinking about. Not necessarily putting lost footage or anything like that. But that could definitely be something. I could start adding like a little, like I'll do like the regular news, and then I'll sign out and do the peace thing, and then I might do like something after that. I occasionally do that anyway. For people that want to stay for sort of the extended thing. So we'll play around with it and see what it does. Let's see here. Dawn says, yeah, you're right. Riggs will be a hot shoe. His dad, Scott, was good back in the day running in the old Busch series. Yeah, Scott was pretty good running for the Ultra team, too, driving that Ultra Dodge, Team Ultra, whatever it's called. He was pretty good in the truck series. He competed for a championship in trucks, and he definitely competed for a championship in the Busch series at the time, Xfinity series now. And he was actually, I think he was either best newcomer or most popular driver one year. So he was definitely well liked. No doubt about it. Fun fact about Scott Riggs: he was the one that originally wanted Rodney Childers as a crew chief. So he made Rodney Childers his crew chief, and that's actually where Rodney Childers came from. So a fun fact about that one. Speedway Anywhere says, just wanted to know if anyone else got a call for bail money this morning. I've had two. Dang it, pray with you law and get your comeuppance. Yeah, no, I have not had that call today. But when I was a younger man, I did have that call for some other friends. Remember having to go get one out of jail. God, they called me. I was 2 hours away. So and it was really late at night, probably 2 a.m. So I get a call at 2 a.m. I'm like 2 hours away, and I have to physically get the money out of my stash and drive it 2 hours to help this guy out. And it was we were young, so it was like 4 of us. We had to all pool our money together to help this guy out. The guy never paid us back, by the way, which is not shocking. But so yeah, when we were younger, I did get that phone call at like 2 a.m. Had to drive an additional 2 hours, so about 4 a.m. watching the sun come up. And probably the most interesting part about it was meeting all the people in the lobby who were waiting to get their loved ones out too. Yeah, so it was an interesting experience that time. So yeah, I've had that happen before. I hope to never have it happen again. And at this point, and at my age, I don't know if I'm getting up at 2 or 3 in the morning to go help anybody. To be totally honest with you, but they can wait. They can wait. JD Mio says, "Where else are they going to race? I mean, on the grass." LOL. I don't know. With these electric cars, maybe it'll be a moot point, right? They seem to be forcing electric cars down our throats. Which nothing against electric cars. I think they're interesting, but I still prefer V8 and the rumble of a V8. I still prefer gasoline, ice engines, internal combustion engines, whatever you want to call them. So I don't know. Like it's some tracks do have like a noise thing, so they put like a sort of a modified muffler on them or something like that. But it's always been something interesting to me. Like I don't know. And if we lose our tracks, like you're saying, JD, we're not going to stop racing. We're going to figure out places to race, right? So I think they're better off not tearing down all of our tracks, because if you tear down all of our tracks, we're going to figure out somewhere to race, and that's going to create its own problems. So we're gonna put racetracks where they weren't before, and then those people will sort of have a reason to complain, because we will be making noise in their backyard when there's no racetrack there. So it is what it is. But hopefully something is done. Some of these tracks need to be made historical monuments and stuff like that, so that nobody can touch them, especially over there at Hickory. Because in the video, he points out Hickory is rapidly becoming prime real estate territory. So hopefully they make Hickory a historical landmark, so that it can't be touched. And I'd love to see a lot of these places become historical landmarks, so that they can't be touched or ruined, because some jerk wants to make a few more dollars by selling some real estate. Old Home Guy says, "Happy New Year's, Kyle. How many subs to go until the yugo? I think we need like 1,200 more or something like that, somewhere in that range. So we're looking at 1,200, somewhere in that area. Last time I looked, not 100% sure. Let's see here. Kevin S says, "What's up? Came in. Happy New Year's. Who's your pick for the Clash at Daytona?" That's a good question. So Joey Logano is going to be the obvious pick, right? But if you remember last year, before Tyler Reddick missed a shift and his transmission fell out, or whatever they want to call those things now, the gearbox, before that thing gave up on him, Tyler Reddick had the fastest car. So if you're following where I'm going here, I'm actually going to pick Kyle Busch, because Kyle Busch finished second in the Joe Gibbs car, right? So if you put Kyle Busch, who finished second last year in what was the fastest car, and it carries over and it's the fastest car again, then maybe, I'm thinking Kyle Busch. I'm also picking Kyle Busch to win the Daytona 500. And I'm going to pick him every year he's with RCR until he wins the Daytona 500, just to be totally honest. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like Kyle Busch has a good shot at it. Tyler Reddick ran good there last year. He might want redemption. I would look at Tyler Reddick, but the setup that the Penske guys had, Joey Logano in particular, I wouldn't count any of the Penske guys out. I would look at the RCR guys, and definitely Tyler Reddick, because he probably wants to get that one figured out. Kevin S says, "Go TCU for the upset too." Yeah, so if you're watching college football, TCU is a great story right now. They upset Michigan yesterday, and they're going to play for the national championship. Excuse me, against Georgia. Georgia Bulldogs been basically number one all season for the most part, or at least around there. So if TCU can pull another upset, it'll sort of be an upset. And it'll be quite a big upset, because a lot of people were saying TCU doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. So if they could pull that upset, they could prove a point that, hey, we deserve to be in the playoffs. And I've about exhausted my college football knowledge, because I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it this year. Let's see. Bent says, "Though I wish her best of luck, Xfinity next year may be the best option. Maybe more mature competition on that level." I think she's much better. I agree with you, Bent. I think she's much better in a car. But I think she wants to prove a point that she can run good in trucks. And I think now that she's with a good truck team, got a good crew chief, got people behind her that really believe in her, and DGR believed in her too. I'm not taking any Tricon now, not taking anything away from them, but I think she'll be in a good situation, and I think she'll get results. But I do think she's more used to driving a car at this point, and I think because the trucks and the cars drive totally different. For just in case nobody knew. And I think she'll be much better off in a car whenever she moves over there. Robert Mark says, just shut up, buyer beware. First rule of buying anything, shut up, build a soundproof room, stick some earplugs in. I did when I worked midnights. Lawnmowers start first thing in the morning. Deal with it. That's right, Robert Marks. Anybody that's worked third shift knows the deal. Get the blackout curtains. Get something to block out the noise. Because without a doubt, when you're at your tiredest of tiredest, somebody is going to crank up a daggum lawnmower. And you're going to be mad, but there's really nothing you can say about it because the guy's just mowing his grass. He doesn't work third shift. Third shift is the worst, man. The absolute freaking worst. Don McLeod says, tracks, whether dirt or pavement, what's happening right now with rezoning land near Cletus, that's another one. And the Freedom Factory, eventually the end goal is to make you go away. I agree with you 100%, Don. Hopefully they can fight that for as long as they can fight it over there in Florida or wherever the Freedom, I think Florida is where the Freedom Factory is at. So hopefully they can fight that off for as long as they can over there. Hopefully he can get some more money and buy some more land around it and just sort of like stave them off that way. But it becomes political, and people with more money are always going to beat down people with less money. And even though Cletus has a ton of money, there's people in that real estate game that have more money than Cletus. It just stinks. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully it just chills out. Hopefully the real estate market just chills out because that would be something that would help it too. Like if it slows down, I'm not wishing economic hardship on anybody, but if that slowed down, that would help out saving racetracks as well. RJ says, morning chat and Happy New Year. Happy New Year, RJ. The real estate market is bonkers, to be honest. I agree with you, RJ. So I don't know, like a lot of people sold their houses because they were getting like this maximum amount of money for them, but then they went and looked to go buy another house, and the other houses they could buy had already inflated too. So it's created sort of a bubble. Hopefully this bubble will burst in a positive way that it doesn't hurt a lot of people other than real estate agents. Real estate companies, because there's too many of them. And if you're a real estate agent, I'm not taking a stab at you. I'm just saying they're coming after my short tracks, and I got to defend my short tracks first. So I'm not wishing anybody any hardship or anything like that, but it's got to stop. Philip says Stafford Raceway is in a residential area. So, yeah, hopefully they can keep Stafford. Stafford's a huge deal, big-time racetrack as far as the short track scene goes. So hopefully they keep Stafford forever. Another one, they need to make a historical landmark or whatever so nobody can touch it. RJ says, hey, Robin, what's shaking? Old home guy says 6-car wins. Daytona, 43 car. Oh, the 6-car wins Daytona. I got you. So he's going Brad Keselowski there. Not a bad pick. RFK has fast plate cars and or super speedway cars, and Brad Keselowski is definitely a good super speedway racer when he's not trying to prove a point by blocking and wrecking people. That year he was proving a point for people trying to block him. And the 43 car wins the championship. Man, if Eric Jones wins the championship, I might not be sober for a month. I'll just tell you that right now. RJ Bansman says RCR last won the Daytona 500 in 2018. Yeah, that's a fact. Old Kevin Harvick with the old what was that? That was a number 29. I think it was a Budweiser car. The year he won it, but they might have switched over. I can't remember. It might have been the Shell car. I know he won the one in 07 in the Shell car. I think the last one was in the Budweiser car. 2018, yeah, he was definitely in the Bud car. Speedway Anywhere, by the way, awesome event in Wisconsin today. The Chili Chaser at Toma, snow-covered oval enduro cars that show up in pro haulers. Gotta love it. First off, anytime you've got an enduro car, that's going to be a fun show for the fans and everybody else. Secondly, if you're on the snow, that is awesome. That is awesome. So that's just going to be really cool by itself. So anytime there's snow or ice racing, and anytime there's enduro racing, that's definitely going to be a good time. And it is pretty funny that they're showing up in completely professional haulers. That's pretty funny too, because if you've never seen an enduro car, it doesn't look brand new, and that's all I can say about it. TJ Moorshed says, morning today is day 6 of working nights at my new job, working ski lifts. Oh yeah, man, that's rough, dude. I've always hated the third shift or night shift, whatever it gets deemed as. But I feel your pain, man. I worked that schedule for a little while as a security guard of all things, which was probably the worst job I've ever had. It lasted less than a month, but it screwed my sleep up for like a year, I felt like. So I feel your pain, but working on ski lifts, that's not a bad gig. I wouldn't imagine. Any people are pretty fun around ski stuff from what I remember back in the day. I've been twice. I've been to a ski place twice, and I've never skied once. I just remember going up there and having a good time. As a kid, like we went with a church group or something like that. So wasn't having adult fun, but I just remember it being a fun time. I did the inner tube and stuff. The tube and stuff was probably the most fun. You just get on this big tube and slide down this really long slide. That's pretty much my highlight. Like I like that so much, I didn't even worry about doing anything else. Old Home Guy says Cletus needs to have more races with different sanctioning bodies, 6 to 7 days a week. Run non-muffled exhaust is a must. Bradenton Sports Park needs more races too. So yeah, if you could figure out a deal where you ran races every day of the week, that would be an awesome thing to accomplish. Because it would sort of build up this idea of if I just show up to that racetrack, there's going to be something going on, and it'll also pick up your revenue and stuff like that. In theory, JD Mayo says Ross Chastain and Hamlin rivalry to continue in 2023. I think it's over with. I think anybody that's going to do anything to Ross Chastain will do it in the first half of this season coming up. But as far as a rivalry goes, I don't think Ross ever saw it as a rivalry. I think more or less Denny Hamlin was just really ill about it. So I don't see Ross repaying anything from his end. And if you remember the Martinsville race, second to last race of the year, if you remember, Denny Hamlin actually said he enjoyed Ross Chastain's move. He thought it was pretty BA. So I'm not going to say the rivalry's over. I think Denny will pay him back at some point. Not that Denny hasn't already paid him back by getting in front of him and driving slow, just sort of paying him back in Denny Hamlin's own way. But I could see Denny Hamlin paying him back maybe one time. But I think as far as a rivalry goes, I don't think ever it really was a rivalry. I think that's something the media sort of built up because they needed a story to talk about. But I would say it's done with Hamlin. Now, there might be some other guys like A.J. Allmendinger. I can see A.J. Allmendinger taking a swipe at Chastain, and some other guys that probably have it, up there in their head that, hey, I need to pay this guy back to prove a point. So you could see this go on for 2 or 3 years, technically, if you want to consider that the rivalry. But as far as it being something that they talk about, like a Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt Sr. rivalry from back in the day, I'm pretty sure it's over with. I don't think we'll see the Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin type rivalry like those two guys have going on. And I don't think we'll see a Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski rivalry like we've seen those guys have. I'm pretty sure this is pretty much over. And I don't think it was ever as big a deal as the media made it out to be. I think it was more or less the media just needed something to talk about. There we go. I knew I was wrong. Thank you, RJ. I was like, who won in 2018? Thank you. Austin Dillon. I've got the diecast like literally right there. Austin Dillon was who won it in 2018. I forgot all about that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going this morning for some reason. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. RJ says Ross is fun to watch. JD, yeah, Ross is a good time. Like he's always trying to go for more than what the car has in it. And when the car has plenty in it, there's going to be races that he starts dominating when he has the faster car. JD says, yeah, he's the next Tony Stewart. So there you go. That's a good comparison. Two very aggressive race car drivers that drive so aggressively they can sometimes get inside people's heads. Speedway Anywhere says, my money is on Tyler Sauter at the Tomahawk. So there you go. Got some money on old Tyler Sauter. Not familiar with him, but I feel like if you're picking him, I'll pick him. Sounds good. I'll jump on that bandwagon with you. Old Home Guy says, Chastain is a better driver than Denny right now. Denny is too timid. Ross is the boss. Says win and have fun. So yeah, they're at different stages in their career, right? So Denny Hamlin's closer to the end than the beginning. Ross Chastain is closer to the beginning than the end. So they're at different stages. Ross is going to be like way aggressive. Denny Hamlin used to be one of those aggressive guys, right? So it's just the evolution of how things work out. Denny is more conservative now, except I will say this: he still gets it done on the super speedways. He's still very aggressive there. But what he has learned through his experience is when to be aggressive, and that's what he gets frustrated. That's what all these older drivers get frustrated with Ross Chastain about. They're not necessarily frustrated that he's being aggressive. They're frustrated as to when he's being aggressive. Like if you're being aggressive on lap 10, and I've talked about this before with other drivers, if you're being aggressive on lap 10, a lot of people are not going to like that, right? But if you're being aggressive going for the win, a lot of people will overlook that. So it's sort of he's sort of upset the status quo where drivers were only being aggressive at the end of the race. Ross Chastain has come in and he's been aggressive for the entire race. And they're not used to that. They're not used to Ross Chastain running up there with them, and B, they're not used to how Ross Chastain is driving because they're not used to racing in the back of the pack where Ross Chastain had been racing. And if you see those guys in the back of the pack, they are throwing aggressive blocks. They're throwing aggressive moves on each other all the time, going for 23rd, just to be totally honest. So that's sort of part of where Ross's aggressiveness comes from. The other part of where Ross's aggressiveness comes from the entire race is that's just who Ross Chastain is. If you watch him drive super late models, I should say, all the way through trucks to Xfinity Series cars, he just gets on it and he gets as much as he can get out of that race car. So part of it is, of course, Ross Chastain is just an aggressive driver that way as well. So it is what it is. I think they just got to sort of get used to Ross Chastain and Ross Chastain. I think both sides need to have a little bit of a give and a little bit of a take, and I think that they both will. Old Home Guy says, I call Ross Melon Racer now, says RJ. No doubt about it. He is the Melon Racer. Definitely the Melon Man. Let's see here. What do you call a fruit in the military chat? Major Melon. By the way, who can guess where I got the idea for that joke? No clue. Maybe a Pauly Shore movie, if I had to guess. Not 100% sure where you got that one. Got to do some. Got to clean up some stuff here. Getting spammed. All right, had to get rid of those. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Best thing about third shift is just about everything is open when you get off from work. That's true. That's true. Having breakfast for dinner is one of the positives for that. There's no doubt about that. RJ said, who'd want a 6.1 Hemi swapped into a Plymouth Prowler? If it would fit, those Plymouth Prowlers had sort of a small engine bay, so it would be hard to fit it in there, but it would definitely be cool. I hope somebody does it. Like they put those Hemis and Hellcats or what are those things called? Whatever that big engine from Dodge is called. The Elephants, I think is the most I think that's the one with the most horsepower that they make right now, the Elephants. So hopefully they will put that in some other stuff. They've put it in some pretty wild stuff though, from what I've seen. Freedom Factory and Bradenton Motorsports Park need to make noise every day to let people know it's a motorsports themed area, just to get used to the noise, or don't buy in the area, says Old Home Guy. I agree with that. Let them know something. Let them know that it's a place that has events, and if you don't like to live beside a place that has events, then don't buy a house in that area. Rusty Beechwood says no one is doing anything to Ross. These racers aren't that type of dude. I would agree with you. There's like a handful of race car drivers that'll pay people back. Denny is a hot bag of air chasing him back like a 5-year-old around the playground. Just stop it, says Rusty Beechwood. I'm pretty sure Denny is done with it. And I would agree with your comment to a certain extent. I think Kevin Harvick will try to pay somebody back, or at least try to. We saw him try to pay Chase Elliott back. Joey Logano is definitely the type of guy that'll pay you back. So there are some out there. Chase Elliott, we've seen Chase Elliott pay people back. So there are people out there. There are drivers now that will pay you back. But I do agree with you for the most part, Rusty. I think the vast majority of race car drivers just like to run their mouth, get a bunch of media points, get a bunch of media sympathy, and then they don't actually do anything about it. But I do feel like there are a handful of drivers that will still pay you back, aside from the ones I just mentioned. Kyle Larson, we saw Kyle Larson. I mean, everybody's going to call me out on it because I'm a Larson fan. Kyle Larson will pay you back. We saw him, even though it wasn't really Justin Haley who moved him. He thought Justin Haley moved him. Kyle Larson immediately moved him back. Bubba Wallace, we know Bubba Wallace will pay people back. So there are a handful of drivers that will actually pay you back. But I would say, aside from those guys I just mentioned, I can't really think of anybody else who will pay you back. Robin Marks, Kurt's retired, so Ross is my new favorite guy. I'm picking him to win Daytona. Kyle can testify. I picked Harvick this year for his win. Moose, I like the Moose because I'm Canadian. I call him Moose. So there you go, Robin Marks. And don't worry, Robin, I do have that. I have started writing the script for the Moose sponsor one. Ross Chastain, the Moose sponsorship, beamoose.org. So hopefully next week or the week after that'll be done. You see, mooses are stubborn and won't move for no one. That's a fact. I got stuck in the road and couldn't get past one day. He just stood there. Mooses and cows sometimes can just be very they won't move when they get in the road, and it's sort of a pain in the butt. Dawn says, I see you have a nice collection of memorabilia behind you. Do you buy, sell, or trade? I just buy. I haven't gotten rid of any of it. I probably do need to get rid of some of it. But I do just buy. I don't really get rid of any of it. I just sort of collect. Let's see here. This is the year they're going to upset with Ross because his style got him second in the points in 2022. Yeah. I agree with that. They probably won't like his style, but now that they've seen what it accomplishes, I think you might see some other people try to emulate his style, but I think it's going to be hard to emulate because, like I said earlier, it's just who he is. So all these people trying to emulate something, and it's not really them. I don't see it working out for him. So I think he'll be fine. At the end of the day, like we just talked about, a lot of people are just a lot of saying they'll do something, but they won't actually say anything. So it is what it is. RJ says, should I start calling Ross Major Melon now? That's fine with me. Major Melon's okay with me. Major Melon's one of the better Mountain Dew varieties. You know, Mountain Dew has all these different flavors now. Major Melon is a really good version of Mountain Dew. Jason Ratcliffe, what's up, man? Just stopped by to say hello. Is off season over yet? Well, back to football for a bit. I hear you, man. So yeah, the NFL is starting to get interesting as well. College football also going to be interesting with all the bowl games and stuff like that going on. Philip says they put 302s in Mazda Miatas. Yeah, the Mazda Miata, if you can put a 4-cylinder in it, you can normally put a V8 in it as long as it's rear-wheel drive. The problem with the Prowler was, I think they've put a V6 in the Prowler, but even just the way they did that V design on the Prowler, you don't have much room to work on it to squeeze one in. But I'm sure somebody will figure out a way to do it. It would be cool to see, though. That Prowler was a gorgeous car. I always wish they put a better. That was actually the big complaint about it. They didn't put a bigger motor in it. Rusty Beechwood says, you were right, Kevin and Logano would, but not many others. Yeah, so like there's a handful out there that won't take no crap off of you. But like for the most part, they're just gonna, cry about it to the media and get a bunch of media sympathy points and try to own them on Twitter and stuff like that. And that sort of seems to be the way people go about their business now, which nothing right or wrong about it. Just there's fewer guys that'll pay you back, but there's a lot of guys that'll chirp about it. Robert Mark says moose are fast. They can run 56 kilometers per hour. Sorry, 35 miles per hour for you guys that are using that old system. So yeah, they can get up to speed and go. There's no doubt about that. And there's a moose and elk. There's a very slight difference in them, and I used to know it, but it's pretty interesting. I think they can hold their breath underwater for a long period of time too, or something like that. Rusty Beachwood says, and Larson, damn right, Will too. The clash was funny. Yeah, no doubt about it. I felt so bad. I felt so bad, man, because that guy didn't do anything, and Larson just totally juked him into the wall. I was like, golly. I was like, poor Justin Haley, man. Like, goodness gracious. Like, he used that dude up. And I hate to be laughing about it now, but it was so funny because you're like, dude, Justin Haley didn't do that. That was actually your teammate, William Byron, that pushed him into you. And I hated it for Justin Haley. It sucked. So I shouldn't be laughing about it, but it was just so funny because I was like, dang, dude, you totally just ruined that dude's whole race, and it wasn't even him. So that was a pretty bad moment for Kyle Larson. And he apologized. He which, doesn't help Justin Haley, but he did apologize for it. He knows it was a bad moment. Used up Chase Elliott too to get a win on the Roval, but that's going for the win. I don't Chase Elliott now would have taken the preferred lane on the restart. That was insane by Chase Elliott. I couldn't believe he didn't take the inside lane. I don't know. Tough call. I hated to see Chase Elliott get moved. I loved seeing Kyle Larson win. But at the same time, if you've raced that hard to get the lead, you've got to take every advantage you've had. Comes out, you can't give the guy the preferred lane, especially when it's going for the win. He's going to move you out of the way. I guess at the very least, you can say Chase knows he's going to get moved out of the way now when anybody's going for a win, whether they're friends or not. Phillips, Canavan, we can call those monster Miatas. Yeah, well, they've got monster Miatas too, RJ. They've got some Miatas that are jacked up and they go off road and stuff. If you can do anything with a car or truck, somebody has done it with a Miata. I promise you that. Let's see. Robert Marks, should I get Ross a big old moose head? Says RJ. That would he's got the melon. Maybe put a melon helmet on a moose. Get a little crossover sponsorship nickname going there. Old home guy says, Robin Marks, are you a Shorzy fan? Best chirping on TV ever. I'm not. I do not know. I'm not quite sure who Shorzy is. I'll have to look that one up. Let's see. Camaro 50 says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Camaro. Good to have you on here. Speedway Anywhere says, do you have any updates on what now making as far as retrofits on the next gen? All I can find on the news is that they are footing the bill. Yeah, so they have fixed the bracing. According to them, they have fixed the bracing on the rear. That is what they're paying for to fix themselves. They are also changing the hood vents on the hoods that release the air, and they are changing the nose on the car. According to Bob Pockrass, it is a very slight, minor change. The other change we could see would be coming to the short track package this month. Sometime this month, they're supposed to go to Richmond Speedway and test a aerodynamics package for short tracks, which should make for better short track racing and things like that. So look for that. So we could get a short track aerodynamics package. That could be a big change coming. And we also previously mentioned NASCAR is footing the bill for something that we won't be able to physically see, but they have fixed sort of the rear end situation where if you hit if you're at a low speed impact crash, it won't send as much kinetic energy to the driver, hopefully trying to reduce some of these symptoms that the drivers are getting when they have a low speed crash. So those are the only things I've heard of so far. And they haven't released exactly what that aerodynamic thing they found for the short tracks is. So we'll have to take a look at that. They have also practiced either in November or December. They practiced at VIR, but nothing has been released as to if they're going to make any aerodynamic changes for the road courses. Robin Mark says, old home guy, my son has sent me a couple Shorzy clips. I'm old, so I'm more of a SCTV guy. Bob and Doug McKenzie rule. Take off you hose heads. So I assume we're talking about Canadian TV. So I will throw Kids in the Hall into the ring there. I really enjoyed Kids in the Hall back in the day. It was sort of a offbeat deal. I also like the Trailer Park Boys. Trailer Park Boys is bomb.com. So I do watch. They used to have the Audience Network, and they basically would show all of the really good TV shows from Canada, and those were two that I really got into. I thought they were really good. I know what you're talking about with Shorzy. I just haven't watched any of it, so I'll have to check that out at some point when I get a chance. NASCAR needs to come to Canada so Ross can be sponsored by our Canadian Moosehead beer, says Robin Marks. So there you go. I haven't. That's one I have not ever tried. So I'll have to check them out. My father-in-law heard that the World of Outlaws is going to a playoff system. I have heard something about that as well. I couldn't find anything stating that online. Did you hear anything? So yeah, somebody tweeted that out. John Haas. I think John Haas sent me the tweet, but I can't remember who the original tweet was. And I just put terrible move, like, because I'm still anti-playoffs. But I am appreciative that John showed me that link. But I'm just not a fan of playoffs in motorsports. You race against all of your competition every day, all the time, or every race all the time. So I just don't see where a playoff is needed. Playoffs make more sense in like football, baseball, where you don't get to play every single team. Not necessarily in baseball, because you have enough games you can play every team. It doesn't make sense in English Premier League soccer, and that's why they don't have a playoff over there. But if you don't play everybody in your sport, a playoff makes sense in that respect. So it sort of is what it is. Hopefully it works out for them. I don't see where this version of the playoffs that we have now is working for NASCAR. I think they're going to keep the playoffs, so I'm not going to sit here and beat the drum about season-long points. But I think they need to look at how to modify the playoffs we have now to make it better, more interesting, more entertaining. However, if they're going for entertainment, they need to find a way to make it more entertaining because it hasn't helped the ratings, and it's supposed to help the ratings. So I'll leave it at that. But yes, the World of Outlaws is allegedly going to a playoff system, or they're at least talking about it. That is a fact. I have seen that. Robin Marks, I think they're just talking about it. I don't think it's official, so I will throw that out there. Robin Marks, Kids in the Hall were ahead of their time. Love them. Punk comedy, yeah. So and all of those news radio was another show I watched. Not necessarily Canadian, but it had one of the guys from Kids on the Hall in there. So they went on to have solo careers after Kids in the Hall too. But Kids in the Hall was awesome. It was a sketch comedy thing, and it was really good. Old Home Guy says if NASCAR wants tire fall off, put 30% more power in each engine package. So that's actually, you bring up the engine package, and I do believe we need tire fall off. I agree with you 100% on that. It makes races more interesting. So we definitely need tire fall off. I agree with that. And we definitely need more power. But I think one of the interesting things to look at in the 24 hours of Daytona coming up here is going to be the engine package. They're going to have a hybrid engine package, and because IMSA is owned by NASCAR or vice versa, however you want to look at it, I think at some point they'll fully integrate. That's the word on the street that I've heard. Is I would look at this engine package, and I'm pretty sure that the engine package we're looking at on the Cadillacs and the Porsches and all that stuff, that's going to be a very similar engine package to what you see in the NASCAR Cup Series going forward. So I definitely think that is something we could see going forward. If you take a real close look at these engine packages that they're going to have in the 24 hours of Daytona, I think it's going to be very similar to the engine packages that we have in Cup whenever Cup either next year or not next year, but you know what I'm saying, in 2024, 2025, whenever they decide to go with the new engine package. I think it'll be very similar to what we're looking at here. I think they're going to use IMSA as a test run. Old Home Guy says, I believe Shorzy is on Hulu TV. All right, so I'll have to check that out when I get a chance. Jack Matthews, 30 Helens agree. Happy New Year, BB. Happy New Year to you, Jack Matthews. Not many people were like Phil. Sucked when he passed. Before that show folded, and rightfully so. I would have loved seeing him do his thing today. Would be gold. I agree with you, Rusty Beechwood. He was also the voice of Duff Man on The Simpsons. We're talking about Phil Hartman here, by the way. He was on News Radio. We were talking about Kids in the Hall, and I can't think of the guy's name, but The guy from Kids in the Hall was on News Radio. News Radio had Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman was the voice of the Duff Beer guy. Yeah, Phil Hartman was awesome. Unfortunate situation. His wife got off of her meds and decided that they both needed to be deleted from the planet. And just a bad situation. You can look it up. I'm not going to get into that. Bad situation, but Phil Hartman was a talent, no doubt about it. Old Home Guy says, make the last championship race interesting. Put 4 contenders either in front or the rear to the start of the race. 100%. That would be something you could do, because we know that they're going to spend the most money on that last race. So if they all have to start in the back of the pack, it makes it more interesting. It definitely would have made Phoenix more interesting, because Joey Logano couldn't have dominated. He still would have won. He had the better car. He's got that track figured out better than the other drivers. He did what he had to do to get the most R&D time by winning that race, to get the most R&D, the early race in that playoffs, to get the extra 2 weeks of R&D time for the finale. So he still would have won that race. But that being said, if you put them all in the back of the pack, it makes for a better race. They used to do this at late model tracks. They would give you extra points for passing. So the guy would get the pole, and then he would go to the back of the field, and extra money too. Back before they cared about points, really, they would give you extra money. So like if you start, I watched a guy named Barry Begley. Barry Begley was the absolute man back in the day. Watched him start at the back of the field many a night and just pick off people. He was a real clean racer too. He would just pick off people and go, and he wouldn't win the race anyway, get that extra money and go on about his business. So that would actually make for a very good race. At least the first stage would be good. RJ says, Robin Marks, what brand of beer is that? And Robin said, Moosehead Lager. It's independent, so it's its own deal. Speedway Anywhere says, my brother is a diehard Kids in the Hall fan. Reno 911 or 911 back in the day. Now just bring back Beavis and Butthead. They're bringing a Beavis and Butthead movie. It's coming pretty soon, and I'll be a happy creature, says Speedway Anywhere. So yeah, look it up. Beavis and Butthead have a new movie coming out. It's going to be a totally new deal, not sort of the rehashed. MTV tried to bring it back and rehash it, and you can't. That one didn't translate as well. They also took the music videos out of them, which MTV didn't do it the right way. Anyway, we got a new movie of that coming out. Hot take: they need to have the season finale at Rockingham when they complete the recent renovations. That would be cool. I think Rockingham will get a race. RJ says, Speedway Anywhere, Beavis and Butthead, RJ also says they should sponsor the Pinty series. So yeah, there you go. RJ says Narf. What is that from? Narf. Zugat's brain. Narf. Pinky in the Brain. Narf. Pinky in the Brain. So there we go. Hitting all the nostalgia marks here today. Mark Barnum says, good morning all and Happy New Year's. Good morning, Mark. I hope you're doing good today. Let's see here. Beavis and Butthead movie is out. It was funny actually. Oh, so it's already out. Rusty Beechwood, the new Beavis and Butthead movie is already out, so you can check that out already if you want to. Happy New Year, BB, says Chrome Diesel. Happy New Year, Chrome Diesel. And Rusty Beechwood says, yay, Rockingham, I'm there. So that's a good question. Rockingham, I think they'll bring Rockingham back a little more slowly than they did North Wilkesboro. I would expect Rockingham to probably get like a truck race or an Xfinity Series race. And then they'll slowly sort of bring it back in like that, unless Dale Jr. or somebody gets another wild hair with the Cars Tour and gets the late models to go to Rockingham. There was talk of the late models going to Rockingham at one point with the Cars Tour before the pandemic hit. But then when that hit, that sort of fell apart. Also, the track was falling apart when they were testing there. They didn't really want anybody to talk about that, but this was back when Lane Riggs was driving in the Cars Tour. I remember talking to Gary Creech that works on his car. He said there were chunks of the racetrack just coming up. So definitely needed a repave. There's no doubt about that. And also, if you run a late model there, you're going to have to do different things with the baffle on the oil pan and stuff like that. So I don't know, like North Wilkesboro translates to late model stock cars. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off like they did with a late model car over there at Rockingham. So I think they're basically just going to be having to hold out for the Truck Series or some other touring series like that. Maybe the new ASA deal that NASCAR is talking about doing, or ARCA. You could do ARCA there. I could see an ARCA truck date being over there. So it would probably. I'm thinking that they're going to bring Rockingham back, sort of like that. RJ says, I recently learned South Carolina buys used houses from North Carolina. Turns out Horry County Schools number 451 is originally from North Carolina, and it's old. And it's as old as yourself. I hear you. Buys buses. I think I said houses. Buys used buses. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think my bus number in high school was like 213. High school and middle school, ironically, they switched them out, and I think I was always bus 213 until I could drive myself. Robert Marks, I know we've complained about safety, but I was watching NASCAR All Out. There's a 951 Langhorne race. 1951 Langhorne 1951 Langhorne race. I was talking about a Porsche there for a second. Race where there's a terrible crash. You can see the gas pouring out, fire pile up. It was nuts. Yeah, some of those old crashes, they're rough to watch, man. Like there's one wreck where I guess they didn't throw the caution or anything. The dude climbs out of the car and he's like trying to dodge race cars on the track to get to the infield or to get to the outside. I don't even know if there was a wall. I can't remember which direction the dude runs, but he's like dodging cars. Oh God, it was so bad back in the day. It was so insane back in the day. Just something totally different. Chrome Diesel says tire shortage preventing cars tour to race at Rockingham in 2021. That Chrome Diesel, that was the official reasoning, and I'm not going to sit here and disagree with that because I can't prove it, but it was a little more to it than that. You can talk to Chris Regal about it. He can tell you all about it. BB, any plans for the channel in 2023? Yeah. So I'm gonna add probably. I'm gonna at least try to start adding more vlogs and stuff like that. So there will be some slightly longer content. As we talked about a little bit earlier. So there will be some slightly longer contents. There will be some more travel, and there will still be the news, and the news will. Like I said earlier, I'm no longer going to try to make it under 5 minutes or over 5 minutes. Just whatever I have is going to be. So sometimes it'll be 3 minutes, sometimes it might be 8 minutes. I'm not going to try to like continue to like just make it something it's not. So it'll either be like, it's either going to be really short or it's either going to be really long. But that's going to be, I guess, the bigger change. Most of the time, I'm thinking it's going to be shorter or around 5 or 6 minutes like they normally are. But we will also have some traveling and some vlogs. Any guests for live streams? I'm not going to do guests for live streams, but there might be some guests. If I can get some things lined up. I'm not, and here's my rationale on that. I'm not necessarily a fan of how interviews look on live streams. I think from a visual perspective, interviews look better when the two people are in the same room, and the video quality is definitely better, and that's probably more of what my issue is. But I won't rule out that there will be guests on the live stream. But if there are guests in the live stream, we will be in the same room. So I will say that. And if I do interviews, I'm going to do the interviews in person. But we'll get to it, and we'll see that when we get there. But yes, we possibly will be talking to, at the very least, some of my friends in the industry. So in the future. Let's see here. Is North Wilkesboro going to be done before the All-Star race so people can visit before the All-Star race? Old Home Guy says, I don't know. I think you can still visit it now. I don't think they're necessarily going to run you off, but don't take my word for it. But I'm pretty sure they'll let people visit. They invited reporters to take a look at it, what they've done so far. But they'll probably be working up to the very last minute to get it done. Speedway Anywhere, I don't mean to be negative Nelly, but the repave at Rockingham, it won't be the same. I think Junior and company made the right call to keep North Wilkesboro's surface but that's my humble opinion on it. Speedway Anywhere, I agree. But that being said, it sort of had to be done. It sort of had to be done at Rockingham because pieces of the track were coming up. It doesn't get talked about a lot. I don't know. So maybe I shouldn't have said it, but the pieces of the track were coming up. It had to be repaved, and that was always, regardless of the official reasoning, that's always what I was told. And this is back when we were running the Cars Tour. By the way, and we decided we weren't going to run that race because you had to do too many things to the car to make it run over there at Rockingham, just because of the speed and the banking. Late models are not really set up for that. So I was always told the track was coming up, and that's sort of why they canceled it. That, and I don't know, there was some other stuff too, but that was the big reason the track was coming up. You and Stapleton 42 would be an awesome combined show, says Old Home Guy. Yeah, that guy's really good. Stapleton's the man. He does a great job. So if you haven't watched any of Stapleton's stuff, it's really good. He travels a lot of different places. Rusty Beechwood says they have paved the rock so many times. It's what happens every so often. Tracks change over time. Yeah, so definitely it'll take like at least 2 or 3 years to sort of wear in the racetrack. The good thing is it's over in the Sandhills in North Carolina. So no matter what they do to pave the track, at some point it's going to become super abrasive pretty quick. So it is what it is. It wouldn't. I think maybe after 2 or 3 years, the track would become abrasive enough to have tire fall off. But the first few years, it's just going to be a high grip track. Let's see. I think Stapleton 42 is in the Charlotte area. I don't know where he's out of. That's a good question. I've never even thought about that. I don't know where he's. He sounds like he's got a North Carolina accent though, so I would say either North Carolina or Georgia. He sounds from one of those two, like he's maybe from one of those two areas, but I'm not sure. Let's see. No worries about that on the rock. Will still be good racing, says Rusty Beechwood. Oh yeah, like I hope they come back to the rock. There's no doubt about that. I'm with you though. The repave is going to make it a little bit less special until it seasons and wears in. The reason Rockingham needed a repave was the same reason Daytona in 2010. The pavement was coming up during the 500. Yep. Jamie McMurray won that race. Yep, and that's that was the JPM race where he hit the air dryer too, I think, wasn't it? Or was that a different race? I remember they had to repair the track because the air dryer melted through it. But I think they also had, I don't know, I might be getting them mixed up because they had to repair the track on both of them. Let's see, Stapleton and Logan are definitely unique, says Speedway Anywhere. Chrome Diesel says, I'm currently watching the 93 season with 4 races to go. Wasn't 3 races in a row in the same state was too much. Yeah, so that's a fair argument there. That's a fair argument, Chrome Diesel. They definitely could have spaced out the schedule a little bit better than that as far as where they rotated things. RJ says lap of Rusty Beechwood lap of the world did a track feature on Rockingham in 2022. It's awesome. Joseph Merigliano says Happy New Year to you and your family. Happy New Year to you as well, Joseph. JPM was 2012. Okay, so 2 years later. After they had repaved Daytona, Juan Pablo Montoya 2 years later put another hole in it. Appreciate it, RJ. Put Tacona Night Tails in any race. Put Taco Night Tailings. Put Taco Night Tailings in any race pavement. That'll be abrasive and give tire fall off, says Old Home Guy. I'm not even sure what that is, but if it gives you tire fall off, that's what we need. Mark Barnum, I also like content creator Taylor Kitchen, from Toby Christie. Taylor Kitchen does a lot of. I always see her live streaming stuff. So her live stream, if you like live streams, she does live streams and she's pretty daggone good at them. So check her out for sure. How many race cars does it? And she doesn't get nearly enough views on her live streams either. So check her out. How many race cars does it take to crash for how good she is? Taking to crash into a jet dryer? Just one, big dummy, says RJ. So his steering box locked up. By the way, that wasn't 100% on him, which happens from time to time. Rusty Beechwood, we'll check out. Thanks, RJ. Any more silly season news? Haven't heard anything in a while. What number do you think Jimmy Johnson will run for his races? Says Joseph. So I think he's going to be probably either the 49. There's an outside chance he's the 44, but I think those are going to be the two numbers. But it seems like Mike Beam has basically leaked it out that it's going to be the 49. So I'm thinking it's going to be the 49. I think he unintentionally told everybody it's going to be the 49. But we'll have to wait and see. But I would look for it to be the 49. RJ says, Rusty Beechwood, remember the Augusta International Raceway? I do not. Was that the one? Was that the one that like Fireball Roberts built or somebody, and they had a bunch of terrible wrecks there or something? I don't know. I might be remembering the wrong one. If 43 wins the championship, will 8 championships be the most for any car number? That's a good question. That is one I've never looked at. Let's see. I'm trying to think of another number that has multiple championships with it. Maybe the 11. I know the 11 has the most wins of all time of any car number. Let's see. I don't know. I can't. I don't even know what car numbers those guys won championships with in the 50s. So that would be a tough one. I need to look that up. That's a good question. I don't know. You got me stumped on that one, home guy. You got me stumped. Tentatively, I would say probably. Because I know did somebody maybe win a championship in the 3 car when they were with Smokey Unick? That would be the only one that I could think of. Because we know Earnhardt got 6 in the 3 car. He got one championship in the 2 car for Rod Osterland. So we got 6 with the 3 car, and however many Smokey Unick's guys won in a 3 car. But sometimes Smokey Unick's cars were 13. The 3 car and the 43 car, off the top of my head, would be the 2 I would think of. I don't think anybody's done anything in the 48 car championship wise. So that's a good question. Off the top of my head, I would say the only one might be the 3 car because of Smokey Unick, and I think the 3 car was a pretty popular number back in the day as well. Who is going to replace Vince Welch at Fox for the Truck Series broadcast, says Mark Barnum. I think it's going to be probably going to be Jamie Little, if I'm not mistaken, would be my initial guess. Of course, a lot of people are thinking that it is going to be Kurt Busch or somebody like that. There's a link for the T-shirts. I'm proud of myself that I remembered to copy that link, so I'll put that link down there again. Yeah. Yeah, it was Fireball's track, says Rusty Beechwood, talking about the Augusta International Raceway. So there you go. That is an interesting track. You can look it up. Dale Jr. did a Lost Speedways on it, and that's where the vast majority, I think, of my knowledge for that track came from. Him and Matthew Dillner did a great job on that series. I think that series is over with, but I think they need to bring it back. RJ says Augusta was built and owned by Fireball. Yep. Mark Barnum says, who's going to replace Vince Welch? I just got that one, I think. I think it's going to be Jamie Little, but a lot of people want it to be Kurt Busch. How is the number 49 tied to Jimmy Johnson? How is the number 49 tied to Jimmy Johnson, says Joseph? Because it is one more than 48, and plus you've got 7 championships with Richard Petty. You've got 7 championships with Jimmy Johnson. You could add them up, and it would be 14, but 14 is already taken. But if you multiply 7 times 7, it would be 49. And so that is why people think it would be a perfect number for Jimmy Johnson. The other perfect number, of course, for both of them would be 44 because and New York racing no longer exists. So the 44 is available. So the 44 would be good because Richard Petty Motorsports has run the 44 before. Petty Enterprises, whatever you want to call it. Every iteration of Petty, they have run the 44 before in Petty Blue. And Jimmy Johnson in ASA ran the 44 Shell Pennzoil car, if I'm not mistaken. So 44 and 49 are the two that get the most talked about. 84 would be the other one because it's just the flip of the 48. Rusty Beechwood, Junior Johnson got one in the 3. Am I remembering that right? Junior Johnson never won one. So that's the big thing. And I never knew that until last year. I actually had to look that up myself because somebody got me on that one. Junior Johnson, I don't think Junior Johnson ever won a championship. I might be wrong about that. but he's listed as never winning the championship. I don't know. Maybe it was before the Winston Cup era, his championship or something. I don't know, but I don't think Junior Johnson ever won a championship. But if he did, that would add to the 3. And I think Smokey Unick, y'all got me confused now, but I'm pretty sure Junior Johnson didn't win a championship. Let's see here. Y'all can look it up. I can't Google stuff because it's going to make my stream fall down, I think. What is Rich World retiring, or what's on with him? What's going on with him? I don't know. I'm not sure. What is Rich World retiring, or what's going on with him? I don't know. I don't even. I'm not following you on that one. When did $1 million bonuses stop with Crown Jewel races? When they got rid of the No Bull 5, sort of like that. Oh, okay, there we go. RJ saying Junior Johnson got wins in the number 3, but never got a championship in that number. Yeah, so we were talking about championships, not overall wins. The 11 car number has the most overall wins, but we're talking about what car number has the most championships, and we're thinking it's the 43 or maybe the 3. Those are the 2 we're thinking about here. What is Vince Welts retiring, or what's going on with him? Oh, I got you now. The way the statement from Vince Welch read is that Fox let him go. Fox let Vince Welch go, much like Chris Devoto got let go. So I don't think it was his decision to step away from it. Joe Weatherly won the championship in 1963, says Rusty. Would have bet money Junior won one. Glad I didn't, says Rusty Beachwood. Yeah, me too. I was in the same boat like back in the day. I was like, man, Junior Johnson's a multiple-time champion. Then I looked it up and I was like, he never won a championship. I was like, and he was one of the best of all time ever. I make no doubt about it. He just never won a championship. Much like Mark Martin, never won a championship. Denny Hamlin, ton of wins, never won a championship. So I mean, guys that are really good that have never won a championship. Junior Johnson is in that conversation, unfortunately. Old Home Guy says Winston was kicked out of racing, hence no Winston Million. Yeah, so once they got and they stopped the Winston Million anyway, they sort of went to the No Bull 5. So actually, when they went to the No Bull 5 or whatever, that's when they stopped doing the Winston Million. You could still win $1 million, but you had to win like 2 races. It's sort of like what they do with the Xfinity thing now in the Xfinity series when you see the purple spoilers. Rusty Beachwood says, thanks for correcting me. Sometimes I get things wrong. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But never be afraid to admit when you're wrong. Yeah, I'm not. I'm wrong all the time. That's why I'm glad we got people in the chat that'll get me straightened out here. Love the spirit. Wasn't correcting collaboration. Yeah, that's right. That's the way I look at it too. We're just collaborating. Mike Davis. Hey, Mr. Berger. Happy New Year, sir. Let's go, Joey Logano. 3 and 23, says Mike Davis. So there you go. There's a good chance. That he can get that 3rd championship. He's in his prime. He's in a good car. He's with a good team. He's got a good crew chief. So he's got just as good a chance as anybody. Of course, the playoff format is anybody's game. So it is what it is. Joseph, Vince Welch, I meant to say. Sorry, I'm using a microphone and it always messes up. Don't worry, man. Whenever I talk to Siri, it's bad. She does not like my country accent on your phone. Autocorrect gets me a lot too. Even when I'm typing with my thumbs, autocorrect gets me quite often. So no worries there, my friend. But yeah, Vince Welch was basically let go by Fox from how I read his statement. It was not his choice. But he said no hard feelings. He's enjoyed his time there, so it's not like some type of beef or anything like that. RJ says Junior was the Wilkes County wild man for a reason. Rusty Beachwood. So Chrome Diesel, too bad we don't have any 5 Crown Jewel races anymore. Yeah, with they sort of took away Indianapolis. If they take Indianapolis back to the Oval, we would have 5 Crown Jewel races. But they definitely should have something going on for that. Hopefully in the future, NASCAR can get sort of a No Bull 5 type deal going. Wouldn't mind having a drink with you one of these days. RJ saying to Rusty. TJ Mooreshed, NASCAR is revamping all these SMI 1.5 mile tracks when will they finally add some banking to New Hampshire or lights or something? First off, hopefully they get some lights in there. I would love New Hampshire or any track that doesn't have lights right now. Let's put some lights over there. That would be the big thing. Banking, I can give or take banking. If NASCAR could figure out the short track package, you wouldn't have to worry about banking or anything like that, in my opinion, because you could get a Martinsville type race where people have to move people to pass and stuff like that. So if they could figure out the short track package, which is sometime in January, they're going to go to Richmond, and they think they found a fix. So we will see. But I would worry about fixing the short track package before I worried about fixing that track. Have you heard anything about Jordan Anderson racing of the Xfinity series? Haven't heard any news for them for 2023. I would assume they would be back. Yeah, smaller teams usually don't make announcements till like a few weeks before the season starts. So I'm assuming he'll be back too. I haven't heard anything where he shuts down. You would hear something about him shutting down before you heard them announce what they're doing, just because they are a small team. Rusty Beechwood says, I'm down with that, RJ. One day we will line that up, maybe at a race. So there you go. Robin Marks Jr. was a real bootlegger. That's a fact. This is why I'm here. I'm a historian, amateur. He was the real deal. I love watching the old races. Even as an owner, he was so entertaining. Boy, could he cheat? No doubt about it. He built some of the best cars, no doubt about it. Even when he retired and he was just the owner, like he had those guys building cars to the very limits of the rules and sometimes beyond. Used to work with a guy that was a mechanic for him, Dennis Moody. So shout out to Dennis Moody if he's still around. He was a mechanic for Junior Johnson's race team. Lives in Wilkesboro or did. Not sure where he's at now. I haven't talked to him in decades. Checking win stats. I see Stewart Haas Racing has 67 wins already. Yeah, they've had for a newer team. They've had a great start. Bolstered, of course, because they've had some really good. I think Ryan Newman won 3 races there, but you had Tony Stewart won a bunch of races there, and obviously Kevin Harvick has won the vast majority of his races with Stewart Haas. So they've had some really good drivers over there, and I think they've got some good young talent for the future. They've just got to chill and let it develop. I think Chase Briscoe is going to win a bunch of races. He's also going to wreck a bunch of races. So I think they've got some good talent over there to build around. Let's see here. Southern 500 is a crown jewel, not a playoff race. I'm so conflicted about putting Throwback Weekend on a 400 miler rather than the Southern 500. Yeah, if you do the Throwback Southern 500, it has to be the Southern 500, right? So they would just have to adjust the mileage, or we riot, we protest, we take to the racetrack streets. Like Southern 500 must always be 500. It's just one of those things. There will never be the Daytona 400, and there will never be the Southern 400. It just needs to stay the distance it goes, whether it's in the playoffs or not. If they move it to the playoffs, it needs to stay 500 miles. Rusty Beechwood says, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Go Junior. Yeah, no doubt about it. I agree with that 100%. And with that, it is lunchtime, so I'm going to stay on here for maybe 5 more minutes. So get your questions in or whatever you want to talk about in, and we'll do that for maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'm going to hop off here and go eat some lunch and probably go watch some football. Hopefully the 49ers win today. Hopefully your favorite football team wins today as well, unless they're playing the 49ers or the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills are my side team. TJ Mooreshed says Thunder Road is a sight, and this is before the Buffalo Bills were good too, by the way. Is a sight to behold. I'm really happy SRX is going there this year. It has ties to Ken Squire, and almost everything about the track surface is fairly new. So I had Thunder Road written down on my notes, and I couldn't remember what Thunder Road I was supposed to be looking up. So I still haven't researched it, TJ, but I need to research it, no doubt about it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the entire SRX season, and I think that's another thing I can go ahead and add. I will be covering the SRX for sure this season coming up. because they happen on Thursdays, and that'll be just an easy thing for me to cover. So I will cover the full SRX season this year coming up. Robin Mark says, "Go Bills, go!" Good talk. Happy Sunday, people. Peace, says Rusty Beechwood. What are you working on this week, Kyle? Same thing I'm always working on. I feel like trying to get those daggum vlogs finished. And I'm also working on the moose.org sponsorship video. Those are the main ones in the burner right now. I'm working on Wilkesboro and Phoenix as far as vlogs go. And I got 2 more vlogs I need to work on, but those are the 2 that I'm actually actively working on. And I'm working on the moose.org video. The moose.org video is taking a long time because I've never done a video like that. And I'm just sort of trying to figure out how I want to do it. What's the best way to do it? But that's what I'm working on. And then, whatever news comes out, well, of course, we'll talk about that news as well. Rusty says, "Good talk. Happy Sunday. Peace, people. Bills and Bengals will be good tomorrow night," says Mark Barnum. RJ Bansma says, "Was born to be wild," written about Junior Johnson. I don't know. I have not seen where it was, but I also haven't seen where it wasn't. So you can make the argument until somebody proves you otherwise. Chrome Diesel, I have chores to do. So have a great day. Bon appetit and Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, Chrome. RJ says, "I think Kyle Busch will do a junior throwback at Darlington since it's a version of Junior's old DEI ride." He could. That would be awesome. Camaro 50 says, "49ers are looking real purty." They sure are, man. They sure are. That guy has been a super great find. So hopefully he stays healthy. I'll get, but I don't know. Every time one goes down, the next quarterback we put in is a little bit better. So I don't know. I don't know what they've got behind him. Probably nothing. Robert Mark says, "I'll get some bots to promote your Moose video." No, wait, I'm old. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, no bots, no bot promotion against YouTube toss. So it is what it is. I appreciate it though. I will get that video out at some point though, hopefully this week. Happy New Year to all. Old home guy, peace, Kyle. And RJ says, "Happy New Year's, Chrome. Get me some diesel, LOL." And with that, we're done. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.